Hello and welcome to one more English lesson, right? We are here again after um, a long history study, right? So I hope everybody's okay, everybody's good, and we're gonna move on our English lesson. And of course, today there is something interesting. We're gonna continue in the same topic, which is the start of German expansion, 1933, from 1932 to 1935. Of course, this is gonna be the second part of this reading. Okay, so of course, follow me, enjoy. Okay, this is a very interesting topic, and we learn a lot by reading, by getting the English words, and by understanding about the conflicts that we had in this words history, right? So enjoy that and let's go on. Of course, thanks always for being here and for following me in this amazing lesson and have fun. So let's go on. Let's move to this topic here, as everybody can see. Okay, so and let's go on. We're as always, yeah, as we always do, we're gonna begin here with the title. And I believe today we're gonna use green, right? Okay, so the start of German expansion, and then let's go on. Countries like Britain, France, and Italy realized that they needed a plan to deal with the German threat. Of course, remember, if you remember, when we talk about German threat, we are talking about Hitler. Yeah, Hitler started to conquer. Yeah, to try to conquer all the territories and all the nations, and he wanted to be the ruler of Europe. And then, of course, Britain and France, as they were the two biggest powers there. Yeah, I mean, as a obvious way of thinking, they wouldn't let it happen, right? And especially because Hitler, I mean, he didn't only want to conquer. He wanted to destroy. Yeah, he didn't have good intentions. So let's see what we have there. Okay, and then uh, this begin our first subheading here, our first topic, right? So the Allies reacted to German rearmament. Remember, yeah, when we use the word rearmament, means before they were prohibited to have guns and like this self-defense and that kind of stuff. But now they just didn't care about that rule anymore, and then they started to rebuild, to buy, to invest in guns and like and military things. And at Streza, okay, and this word here, Streza, this is a very important word. Okay, so I want you students to memorize that. Okay, mainly because Streza was a name given to a conference, yeah, that happened in a specific place. I'm gonna read for you here. I have a definition, okay, of what it was Streza itself. So Streza Conference was an important meeting of the British, French, and Italian ministers. Okay, so they got together, and the goal there, yeah, like the why they get together, why they had this meeting to discuss security and international situation. Yeah, and of course, when we talk about security and international situation, we are talking about a big threat that they had, and that was Hitler. Okay, so this was the main reason of the meeting. So let's get back, and then following up, and then we have here some topics, yeah, that was in this Stresa topic. Okay, so number one, Britain, France, and Italy met for the Stresa conference, as I told you before, in northern Italy in April 1935. So keep that date in mind, 1935. Okay, because you're and I mean, as we go on, we're gonna see that again, the Second World War didn't just happen out of the blue, like with no reason. Many things happened before. And moving on, number two, Britain and France were worried about German rearmament and conscription, announced in March. Mussolini was concerned about the threat to his northern borders. If Hitler united Austria with Germany again, so not only Britain and France, but also Mussolini, which was the leader of Italy. And again, Mussolini wasn't a good guy, like he was a crazy guy as well. And we're gonna see that after he joined it, yeah, with Hitler, like he had some partnership with Hitler. But I mean, even him, that we know that he was a crazy man, even him, like he he realized that Hitler wasn't a good thing too. So I mean, I believe there is a sentence that some people say that, a bad guy recognizes another bad guy. So I don't know, right? So let's see. And then oh yeah, so just one thing, conscription. Okay, I want you to search for this word. What is conscription? Okay, make a note of this word conscription and send me in your homework. All right, so moving on. And in the final, number three, by the way, in the final Estreza Agreement, often called the Estreza Front, the countries condemned German rearmament. They also agreed to work together to maintain peace in Europe and to defend Austrian independence. However, they didn't decide how this would be done. I mean, of course, they wanted to work together. They wanted to defend, like um, Austrian independence. They wanted to beat Hitler, but I believe up to this point here, yeah, at least up to Estrela's meeting, they had no idea how they would do that. Okay, so how we're gonna work out? We're gonna fight. We're gonna just go and attack him, or we're gonna try to negotiate. Yeah. So up to this point, they didn't know exactly, but as we move on here, we're gonna discover how was that done. Okay, so moving on. And number four, which is the last point here, the agreement gave Mussolini more confidence to wage his war in Abyssinia because it only referred to peace in Europe. He also felt that Britain and France wouldn't confront Hitler. So he thought that I don't think they are gonna fight Hitler, okay? And then and of course also this agreement gave like more confidence. I mean, for him, this this meeting, this situation was good for him. Yeah, like I mean, to wage his war in Abyssinia. Again, we have this sentence here, more confidence. This one here. Okay, can you see that? So this one too, I want you to explain. When I say explain, translate that for Portuguese. Translate it for me and then explain that in Portuguese. Okay, again, I'm gonna read the sentence for you. Um, I mean, the agreement gave Mussolini more confidence to wage his war in Abyssinia. So wage, what does that word mean? Wage here. What does this sentence mean? Okay, so explain that to me. All right, and then this is the end of these four topics about the Allies reacted to German rearmament at Streltsam. Okay, so we go to the second sub headline here. Just follow me. I'm gonna go up a little. Give me just a second. Okay, so follow me. And now we have Streza was undermined. Remember that undermined was like being destroyed. Yeah, was infected. Yeah, by the Anglo-German naval agreement. Okay, naval, it is related to boats, to ships. Yeah, it's like a military, but I mean not in the ground, not in the air. It's in the sea. Okay. So let's see what do we have here. Okay, so number one, in June 1945, Hitler reached a naval agreement with Britain. It allowed Germany to build up to 35% of British naval strength and up to 45% of their submarine strength. Wow, 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 wow. So you see, and it allowed Germany. So when we have this agreement here, yeah, with that they have with Britain, the agreement basically was like, okay, Germany, you can build up, you can like invest, you can build a military force. Yeah, of course they gave some percentage like 35% of naval and 45% of submarine. Yeah, but I mean, they said, okay, you can build guns and machines and that kind to use in a war like that. And who gave that permission was Britain, right? And why he gave that permission? Remember, yeah, like that in the First World War, Germany was condemned. It was considered guilt of the war, and then they were like, I mean, they were treated very badly. Okay, so and they lost many rights. Okay, so now here as when we say that the Britain government gave permission, is that they gave it back, yeah, because they were, I mean, because of what happened in the First World War, they were not allowed to do it anymore. Okay, but now they gave it back. I mean, and surprisingly, especially when Hitler was there, yes, I mean, a terrible decision, right? Terrible decision. And but anyway, I believe that my opinion, yeah, and I think it's not only my opinion, but also the book's opinion that they did that. They gave like these permissions, you know, you can do that, you can do that, because probably they wanted to avoid war. Yeah, maybe they said, okay, if we make what Hitler wants, maybe he can rethink and maybe change, right? And but I mean, and because of history, we know that he didn't change, right? He became even worse, right? So let's go on. Let's continue the reading, and then we have number two. This agreement implied that Germany had a right to rearm, even though this clearly broke the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, of course, right? Again, I mean, my opinion is that it happened because Britain, they believed that maybe if we give some, yeah, like some permissions, if we negotiate with Germany, maybe Hitler can stop being so bad, yeah, like so mean. But it didn't happen. And number three, it weakened the spirit of the Stresa Front. I mean, when we say it weaken, yeah, weaken is the word that means fraco, né, de fraquejar. It weakened quer dizer que isso enfraqueceu, ok? Ou seja, the spirit of the Stresa Front. Why? Because the Stresa Front, the Stresa meeting that we read before, I mean, the idea was I mean, to do something about it, right? To do something against Hitler. But, uh, I mean, what happened was the opposite, right? I mean, they started like dealing with Hitler as it's like a friend. Yeah, let's give some presents to him and let's see if he gets happy, right? So that's why it's really weakened this spirit of. I mean, it made these decisions made the Stresa meeting seems like a stupid act, right? Because what was the meaning? If why they had that meeting? If after the meeting, after like uniting and discussing what to do about the future, they basically gave everything to Germany, right? And remember, Germany, the country, maybe Germany was not bad, but I mean Hitler was bad, and Hitler was in control of Germany. So, and what do you do if, if you have like a kid that it's not obeying? Yeah, it's spoiling it. Yeah, it's acting has a really bad behavior. So you cannot give presents to this kid, right? You have to do something about it. Yeah, like act maybe a little bit more. I don't know, with restriction. I don't know, So just, but I mean, if someone is doing something bad, you don't give presents to them. Yeah, you don't give more permissions, more freedom. It doesn't happen. So, anyway, let's get back. And then, as we get back here, so again, number three, it weakened the spirit of Stresa Front. The three powers were supposed to form a united team against German expansion, but instead, Britain was making its own pact with Germany. Of course, yeah, that was not good. And number four, and the last one, as we can see here, right? And it also harmed Britain and France's relationship. Why? Because they had a deal and now Britain was doing something opposite to that. Just when they needed to unite on Abyssinia. So you see, this action, this British action, not only was like a stupid action, but also, I mean, it undermined the relationship that they had with France. Like of course, I mean, the French government seeing that, like, what are you doing, man? Like, why are you? I mean, we had a deal, right? We have to fight against this guy, not each person, like making his own way of negotiation. So that was not the idea. So, but I mean, that's why. Yeah. So we have a little comment here. Let me get a little bit closer. So check it out. That comment and analysis. Britain saw the threat. the treaty as a way to build a better relationship with Germany and to guarantee its own naval superiority. There is interest here, right? So again, I'm gonna read that again. So pay attention on that. Britain saw the treaty as a way to build a better relationship with Germany and to guarantee its own naval superiority. Really, I don't get this way of thinking. Like I don't really, I don't understand that. Um, I mean, why Britain did that? But basically, like when they did that naval, yeah, like with submarines, this sea military force thing, yeah, when they did that agreement with Germany, yeah, like and of course, they did that against the conversation that they had with France. I mean, I'm talking about Britain, right? Against everything that they had talked in the Streisand meeting, right? So they had the Streisand meeting, and after that they had this second agreement. But I mean, this time it was only Britain and Germany. And as we have here the description, it says that number one, I mean, there was interest. Okay, so the first interest from Britain was like, okay, so let's try to be friends, not friends probably, yeah, but try to have a better relationship with Germany. And again, when we say Germany here, we're talking about Hitler. Okay, and to guarantee its own naval superiority. And of course, yeah, because as they only gave permission to a certain percentage, so of course they would continue to be the number one in naval strength, right? But I mean, it's a it's a I mean, it was a very very bad thing that they did. Okay, but anyway, so this is the second part, right? Is this the second information that we have from this part, and then we go to the next one, yeah, which is called Britain was following a policy of appeasement. So let's learn what is that now, what is appeasement, and let's see if we can understand that. So just follow me, and I'm gonna put it for you. So as I told you before, right, Britain was following a policy of appeasement. Okay, so I'm gonna read for you uh, a quickly definition of appeasement. Again, Britain was following a policy of that. So this was the policy, isso era a política de, né, a política no sentido de a maneira que eles iam lidar agora com a Alemanha, right? And appeasement has a meaning. Okay, so I'm gonna read for you. Appeasement was a foreign policy adopted by Britain because they used that, right? Of pacifying, like try to have like a pacific relationship, yeah, with an, for example, with an aggrieved country like with Germany, for example, that had like a crazy leader, okay, and this was basically negotiating with the enemy, with Germany in that case, yeah, and trying, like to negotiate in a very, how can I say that, very easy and pacific way, like, I mean, for example, okay, so what do you want, Germany? I mean, the one that I give you more this, more money, what can I do for you to not have war, to avoid war, like, so when we use this policy of appeasement, which means I'm gonna try everything, I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna try my best to avoid war. I don't want to like threat you, I don't want to attack you, like, when, remember that when we use the word threat, ameaçar, okay, I don't want to do that. So this was the policy adopted by Britain, I mean, in direction, yeah, like towards Germany, and but I mean, it was Hitler on the other side, right? I mean, he never gets satisfied, right? There is a, wait a minute, there is a sentence. Here there was a sentence that I read. It was like, what this appeasement, what is appeasement and why did it fail? Appeasement, we know that this is this policy to try to solve a problem, like by negotiating, by giving things, yeah, like by trying to make the enemy happy so that the enemy will maybe change his mind and don't go to the war, yeah, don't go to the fight. And I found that on Google actually, and then of course we know that it failed because we had the Second World War, right? But the answer here is like, why this appeasement strategy failed, and we can hear We can read here, yeah, the appeasement failed because Hitler was unappeasable. I mean, he was impossible to be satisfied. Like he wanted everything for him. That's it. He didn't want to share things. He wanted to be the leader. He wanted to destroy everything. He wanted to kill like half of the population. He was like Thanos, right, from Marvel. Anyway, so I think he was worse than Thanos, but so that is the thing here. Okay, so let's read that next part and let's understand that. Okay, so number one, again, we have this number one here, and then we're gonna have for and against, right? And let's see what is that. So the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain was following a policy of appeasement. He aimed to negotiate with Hitler rather than threaten to use force. There are both and arguments both for and against this policy. So I mean, there were people that believe that it was a good idea. Then there were people that believe that it was a terrible idea, right? So again, just to emphasize, right, just to give a quick little friendly reminder, right? Appeasement means giving aggressive leaders like Hitler what they want in order to avoid war. That's the best description. I think that's perfect, right? Perfect, basically what I told you before. So, but let's see what were the what were the possible arguments for and against. Yeah, let's begin with the for, like people who agreed with that believed that it was something good. So let's see. Let's read that. Number one, for the green part. British people still remembered the First World War and its devastation, so they wanted peace. Okay, so that's one possible reason to try to solve the situation in a peaceful way. And the British armed forces weren't yet ready for another world war and were already stretched by military commitments in the British Empire. I mean, they had already been, like in the First World War, so they were probably like really tired. I mean, in this part I understand, they didn't want to go into another world war, yeah. And as we can see here, like when we say that the military, they were already stretched, I mean, they were already busy, like there were no really, how can I say, like much time and energy, because all the military, all the force that they had was already in use for something, right? Maybe to protecting something, protecting the British Empire, and like so. So I mean, they were in a really difficult situation. They didn't have much extra power to fight to get into a world war. Okay, and then let's go back to number three. Politicians in other countries admired Hitler's success. It improved the economy and built impressive new infrastructure, so they didn't want to fight him. I mean, yeah, he was a good leader in that case. Yeah, looking in this point of view, yeah, infrastructure, economy, he was good. So I mean, people were impressed. Yeah, and number four, the British feared communism. I mean, they were afraid of communism. A strong Germany would be a barrier against communist USSR. Again, the British feared communists. They were afraid of, Russia, communism, Stalin, right? So a strong Germany would be a barrier against. So they thought that, okay, if Germany becomes strong, and if by any chance we become friends with Germany, if Germany fights with us, I mean, it's one more power to fight Russia, right? Because Russia is our enemy too. So maybe for some seconds they believed that Germany could be, a friend, a partner against Russia. I mean, mistake, right? Of course. And moving on. And the last one, number five. At first, Germany's army was too weak to be a significant threat in the beginning, yeah, because of the First World War and all the things that I have already told you. Yeah, like they lost, so they lost. I mean, a great percentage of their army, and they became very weak. I mean, Germany, right? So of course it was not significant, it was not really a threat to them. But the British weren't in a good position to go to war either, because Britain was also in a bad situation, right? Britain wouldn't be guaranteed support from the USA and France. Again, Britain wouldn't be guaranteed support from the USA and France. Do you understand that sentence? So, the point here is that when we say that Britain wouldn't be guaranteed support, which means that they didn't know for sure that USA, American people, and the French people, they would be, like they would be on their back, like they, for example, if they really, they moved forward against Germany. Yeah, like, okay, so let's go to the fight, let's go to the battle. They didn't know for sure that, okay, Americans and French people, they would really support them. Like when I say support means military force, right? So I believe here, this is what says, like in this part, like Britain wouldn't be guaranteed. They okay, they were partners, but like, okay, if I go to the fight, are you with me? Really? Can I trust you? So it seems that it didn't have, the the British, yeah, the British people, they didn't have that what word can I use for that? Yeah, that they were not really sure, right, if they would have a backup. But that is the point. Okay, so these were the like the four, yeah, like the arguments um from the people, yeah, that supported the idea of try to find a more easy way of negotiating, like just more pacific. Yeah, I think that's the word. Yeah, like peaceful way, right? So let's continue here. And then we have this next part, which is against. As we can see, it's they are using the wait a minute, like the orange color. So let's go the arguments against that idea. Number one, Hitler became more demanding as time went on. He began by asking for lands with lots of German people, example the Saar, but later he threatened countries where this wasn't the case. So when we say that Hitler became more demanding, we say that he started like asking things that like made no sense. Okay, so I understand when you say, okay, so I want that territory back because I have like family, or like German people there, like people from my own nation, like, so this is understandable. But when you try just to invade a totally different country that has nothing to do with you, yeah, so this is a little out of mind, right? So this is one of the arguments that like people that were against that idea, like they put on, right? They said, yeah, and then let's go on, and then we have number two. As we can see, some politicians at the time warned of the dangers of appeasement. Churchill warned that a rearmed Germany was a threat. Absolutely, right? Churchill, when we speak about Churchill, we say Winston Churchill, right? So, I mean, what what do we, for example, what do we can understand about like this, the dangers of appeasement when we try to go in a really like peaceful way, like just let's try everything. If you don't like, we can give you like something to, I don't know, to try to make you happy. When you just go like this, yeah, the person, like the nation that you are dealing with, he he maybe misunderstand that this is a negotiation, and not just like I do what I want and that's it. So, and as Churchill, yeah, Winston Churchill, which became later one of the greatest prime minister of England, yeah, from all time, yeah, he said, okay, so if we give this permission to Germany rearm itself, like if they really get like powerful military forces, that's gonna be a threat. That's gonna be a real threat, and nobody will be able to do anything against it. And he was right, right? So again, this was another argument like against this peaceful way. So we I believe that Churchill had the idea that we have to impose, like if we are trying to do the best here, we are fighting for peace. Yeah, I don't want to conquer you, I don't want to control everything about you. It's just let's have a good relationship. But I mean, if you cross the line, okay, there will be consequences. Okay, I think that's probably the best way to deal with that situation. Okay, and we had number three. Yeah, as we can see here, let's check it out. Hitler proved that he couldn't be trusted to keep his promises. Of course, right? He was a psychopath, so you cannot trust in a psychopath. And there is this little comment here, an analysis. So we're gonna get closer a little. Just follow me here. This one. Hitler's claims to regions like the Saar seemed fairly reasonable because they'd been part of Germany before the Treaty of Versailles. Yeah, as I was telling you, yeah, some of the demanding, some of the things that Hitler asked was kind of unreasonable and it was understandable because each before it was part of Germany, so we want it back. That's it. That's simple, right? So if something was already mine, so and it was taken from me by someone else, so if I want it back, it's kind of understandable, yeah. But when you try to get something that never has belonged to you, so this is another situation, right? So this is the thing that we have here, and then we have this last information here down below. So number two here, right? Appeasement may have seemed sensible, may have seemed, when we use the word sensible, means understandable, maybe a good idea in 1933 to 1935 because Hitler didn't yet pose a threat to Britain. Okay, so this sentence here, it's very good. When we say that it seemed sensible, we understand that it's, I mean, at that time, this appeasement and this peaceful way of dealing, maybe people believed, like it looked like, yeah, it seemed to be something good because at that time, Hitler was in the beginning, so nobody knew that he was like a crazy person, right? He was like a dictator, as with a, I mean, with a capital letter, yeah, with a capital G. So he wasn't really a big threat to Britain. But of course, as the years went on, we realized what happened, right? So basically, this, yeah, is the continuation. It was like what I read here was the second party of the expansion, yeah, and I mean of the expansion of Germany and all the situation that ended in the Second World War, right? So now we're gonna go on the questions, yeah, as we always do. So just follow me. Let's check it out. Okay, as you can see, and we go here to this question tags, right? So they start off German expansion 33 to 35, and let's go. Britain, France, and Italy took steps to keep peace in Europe, but their actions weren't always effective. This page will help you to assess the strengths and weaknesses of their reactions to Germany's foreign policy. So, as we have this first one, knowledge and understanding. So let's go on. Number one, when was the Stresa conference held and who was involved? Again, I told you, right? When was that and who were part of that? Number two, copy and complete the mind map below, giving as much detail as you can about the Stresa conference. Again, yeah, we have this mind map, so we have the Stresa conference here, and then we have the reasons for the conference, what was agreed, yeah, what kind of, I mean, ideas or treaty that they agreed, right? And the consequences of the conference. So what happened after that, right? Again, if you go back, you can find all the answers, right? Number three, give the terms of the Anglo-German Naval Agreement. Okay, so what were the terms of the Anglo-German Naval Agreement? So remember, this naval Anglo-German agreement, okay, there were only two countries involved, which was England, Britain, I mean the Britain, right? The Britain nation, actually, not two countries, so a nation, right? So it was the British and the Germany, right? And the German. So Britain and German, basically. And then, do you remember what was that? So explain what was that? I mean, this agreement, yeah, and what was the term, yeah, like what was there specifically? And as we can see here, if we go to number four, right, and explain what appeasement is. Remember, I told you what is appeasement is a way of dealing with a situation, right? Do you remember that? So explain to me what is appeasement. Next one, number 5, give 3 arguments against Britain's policy of appeasement. So give me 3, okay? Give me 3 arguments against the Britain's policy of appeasement. Remember that we read down below on the previous page, yeah, that we had like, okay, so we have the people that had arguments for and had arguments against that. So can you explain that better for me? Okay, so this is a homework. This is number 5. All right. So let's go on. If we go down here, we have this thinking historically. This one I'm gonna share with you. Okay. So number 1, describe the impact of the Anglo-German Naval Agreement on international relations. Describe the impact of the Anglo-German Naval Agreement on international relations. Okay. So if you remember, England, the British, and the French, they had some problems because of that agreement. So what was that? Explain that to me. Okay. Number 2, copy and complete the table below, explaining why each factor led to support for Britain's policy of appeasement, and give as much detail as you can. So we have the factor, the reason, right? When we say the factor is like the reason. So qual foi o fator, right? And why it led to support for appeasement. Okay, so remember, this one we are talking about only about Britain. Okay, so again, let's go. Copy and complete the table below, explaining why each factor led to support for Britain's policy of appeasement. Give as much details. For example, like we have here A, B, and C, which is the desire to avoid war, the threat of communism, and Hitler's achievement. Okay, so and why it led to support for appeasement. So what I mean here, okay, just to make it clear for you, student, is that these 3, the desire for the threat and the Hitler's achievement, okay, these 3 were something that, you know, when the British government, when the Britain, right, when they look at that, for them it was kind of a, maybe not positive, but was good, like was was in favor of them, it would be better than the opposite. That is the thing. For example, so one thing that the British people had was a desire to avoid war. Okay, so this is one, and because they had the desire of avoid war, so they thought that this Anglo, what is the name of that? Yeah, of this, I mean, appeasement, right? Not Anglo, but this appeasement way of dealing, like this, using this appeasement system would be good because maybe for them they believe that it could avoid war. So, and because of that, it led to support for appeasement, and because of that idea, they thought, okay, so as it seems like something reasonable, and maybe it's we can avoid war. That's why we're gonna give support. Remember that when you give support means você dá suporte, você apoia aquilo, okay? So A, B, and C, there are reasons why the British saw that in a good way. Okay, so this is what you have to explain. For example, the threat of communism, right? So, the British people believe that, uh, okay, as they were afraid of the communists, right? As for them, communism was something really bad, and it was a threat for them, for the British people. So maybe supporting this appeasement, supporting Germany will be good because of something. Okay, so this is what I want you to think about and answer in this part. You got it? I hope yes, right? So, and let's go to the last part here, right? Okay, and then the number 3, of course, yeah, you answer the 3 ones, okay, and you write the description here and here and here. And the last one, 3, which of the factors from the table above do you think was the most important reason why Chamberlain, which was the British Prime Minister, decided to follow a policy of appeasement? Explain your answer. Again, the 3 were good reasons for the British to do that because of something, like they had a belief, right? They believed that it would be good. But in your point of view, again, if you need to go back and read that again, in your point of view, why, not why, but which one, which of these 3 were the best one? Was this one they said, okay, so This is very important. We must do that. So so we must support. So which one was for Dan would be like the one that maybe would bring great what would maybe, how can I say that, it would bring great, like, I mean, opportunities, like would bring maybe peace for them. This is what they believed. Okay, we knew later that they were wrong, but at that time they believed that. Okay, especially the Prime Minister Chamberlain. So choose one and explain your opinion why this one. For example, for me, helping Hitler's achieve his goals would be the best because for Britain, so explain that to me. All right, so that's it basically. Okay, I'm just gonna read the last part here, and then we finish the lesson. So, and in this final information, as we always have, right, in 1933 to 1935, a bit of a mixed bag for Hitler. When you were explaining how far you agree with a statement, don't ignore opinions that are different to your own. You can't get top marks unless you talk about both sides of the argument. Of course, right? I mean, when we are analyzing and when we have to judge something, right? I mean, of course, I mean, normally, yeah, as a standard, as a natural rule, we cannot have two realities. I mean, realities, not realities. We cannot have two things that are true. If one is true, the other one is not true. Normally, this is how things work. But for you to judge in a really good way, right? In a way that you really can, maybe, you have more chances to find the truth. Okay, so it's very important for you to analyze both sides. So why of these, like the left, the right, up and down, analyze it by yourself and then choose one. Okay, what you cannot do is be, like in the middle. I don't know, I am both, so it doesn't exist. Okay, in life, everything at at a certain point in life, we are gonna have to choose one side. We cannot be in both sides all the time. So that's it, guys. Thanks for today, and of course, I see you next time. Okay, and have a good time. Bye bye.